Did you think you could just coast now, Mark?
What, after 300?
After 300 episodes, you thought you could just give up and coast, and
Thought it would be.
nobody would be checking in on you, you piece of shit.
I thought it was going to be a different feeling. It feels exactly the same. This fucking bullshit we're doing.
I don't know, man. I thought it was a lot of fun.
I thought the episode was fun. I thought the feeling after the episode would be like, oh, yeah, we're back.
Like
But
we accomplished something major.
technically, we're back. Brick's not back. I don't know when the fuck he's going to
Brick
come
is
back.
MIA. He might be face down in a ditch somewhere, and I'm going to feel horrible if that's actually the case. He's probably just asleep, to be perfectly honest, but that's fine. Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 301 of the Chumpcast. As we were just discussing last week, we were at Fan Expo Chicago, formerly known as Wizard World. We had a great time. Thanks to anybody who came out and watched the show. There were quite a few of you, and we couldn't thank you enough. I already gushed enough about everything on the last episode, so I'll completely leave that out. But Mark, anything notable from last weekend or the past week?
I think a few highlights. I think overall, we have to give a big shout out to Chuck at Chuckload of Comics. The production of that show, it was flawless. He had 3 different angled cameras of the shot of the live recording, which was insane. And these aren't like, there were some really big podcasts there, but these are, for the most part, we're not like, we don't deserve that, is what I'm saying. But we had it.
We do not deserve a production crew. That's why I am the production crew for us.
Yes. Yeah.
So yes, I completely understand what you're saying here.
And obviously our day one listeners, we had a few that were there. Specifically Darian,
Who just showed up in the chat.
Yeah, Darian, my guy.
You know, I just thought it was super weird that he was insisting that I buy him that stupid mask so he could take his shirt off. I didn't understand that. He was so dead set on whatever.
Plenty
You
highlights.
know what, man?
Plenty-
Whatever melts your butter, whatever floats your boat, whatever rustles your jimmies.
Honestly, though, that was a pretty fun con. Like that was getting close to like not the last C2E2, but some of the previous C2E2s. Like they did a better job. They rolled out a rug. It just felt different than
The rug does help.
Than the previous Wizard Worlds. It does help.
I'm not joking. Like I'm an old man. My knees need the rug. I can't be walking around on concrete, but So, Mark, you and I had a discussion beforehand, which is a really unfortunate discussion that only has to be had in this country, which is, like, are you also nervous that somebody might walk in with a gun or some weird shit? And we had that conversation, and we talked about, like, being cognizant of our surroundings and things like that, but...
Well, hold on. Rightfully so, though. For listeners, if we're right by Highland Park, like less than 10 miles away. So that was in the back of her mind.
I don't think it really
wasn't
matters where you are at this point.
But it did kind of matter because we didn't have a 4th of July that was still in the air in our town somewhat. I mean, it hit closer to home than other people. So, of course, I usually don't have that thought, but I did going into this con. And it's fucked up, but that's the world we live in.
So I will say about Fan Expo, I don't think we had a single negative interaction other than our Uber driver. God.
Big surprise. Never had a bad Uber driver interaction.
Well, that one was, never mind. We're not going to get into that because that was that dude's preference and just no tip, whatever. But everybody there was perfectly nice. However, I have decided after this last week that I'm just done going to places where there are large crowds of people. I can't do this, especially where there are baby boomer men who are in pseudo power positions.
I thought you were going to say, especially when there's babies around. I was like, whoa,
Dude,
dude.
I will hang around babies all day before I have to have
love
another
babies.
fucking interaction with a TSA agent.
So what happened?
That had okay, maybe we'll talk about that later.
We're
Thursday
talking
night.
about it. Okay.
Thursday night. I go to a Cubs game. It's kind of a work function. There are 40 of us out of the Chicago office. You know, we have a couple drinks after work and we hop on the red line. We go to the game. I diverge, go meet a friend of the show, TJ, have a beer and, you know, just hang out for a few. So I show up probably in the second inning. I get in, you know, show the tickets, everything's fine. I show my tickets to several people, several ushers. As I'm on my way to my seats, we're sitting right along the first base line towards the right field wall. God forbid, in a stadium full of 40,000 people, you don't hear the 70-year-old usher screaming at you as you walk down. Because that motherfucker will angrily grab you on the shoulder and yell in your face for not hearing him.
Oh my God.
I'm beyond. I don't. So what I've decided is that I actually just need to go back to therapy because my anger is getting a lot worse after the pandemic, and I feel that that's true for a lot of fucking people. But man, I had my fucking ticket open on my phone, and this guy starts yelling at me. And he's like, well, I was yelling at you. I'm like, dude, we're in a fucking baseball stadium. There's a game going on right behind us. I'm sorry I didn't hear you. Like,
Were you in that section?
Yeah.
Like,
it was like I was literally
it was
like
his
5
mistake.
feet. Well, so either he's not at the section head where he's supposed to be checking tickets, so he's probably sitting on his ass on a fucking folding chair. And it's my fault that I can't fucking hear him screaming at me.
Yeah.
So he tries to like dress me down in front of my coworkers.
Oh no, dude. I was hoping it was just TJ. That's the worst. I'm sorry. Even if like you were in the right, that's still the worst. Getting in an awkward interaction in public with coworkers there. Oh, dude. Oh,
But at that point, I was already invested.
yeah. You had
And
to go in.
I was not going to just let this guy yell at me. And look,
Yeah.
man, I understand that I could be the bigger person and I could just be like, hey, sorry. I'm
Fuck that guy.
fucking done with it, man. I'm done with
Yeah.
it's always these fucking like bullshit power positions with these middle-aged or older white dudes who just are so fucking unsatisfied with life. This fucking TSA agent, when I was going to DC not that long ago, there's no line, right? And apparently the scanner where you put your hands over your head just like isn't working, and I'm supposed to know that. So I'm standing like waiting for somebody to tell me where to go, and he's like trying to make an example of me in front of all of the people in the security line, like, hey, did I tell you to stand there? I'm like, you didn't tell me to stand anywhere. He's like, well, why are you standing there? I'm like, no, you didn't tell me to go anywhere. If you tell me where to go, I'll fucking go there. But don't act like I'm so beyond the pale with this shit. Like I don't. This is why I've decided that I can't go out in public anymore.
When you're a TSA agent, there is no getting it right for like the general public. They just, I'm convinced they just fuck with people. When they do the thing where it's either the hands up fucking weird scanner thing,
Yeah.
or
The thing that radiates your balls, yeah.
or next to it is just the regular security walkthrough. The best is when they're like, all right, come on. And they like guide you to the security walkthrough, like, because it's getting too crowded. But then you start walking, they're like, hold on. And they like yell at you. I'm like, dude, you told me to walk. So I just wait And usually they still yell at me. They're like, "Come on, I'm telling you to come," and I'm just like, "Dude, I'm taking a second before I come too early." That's what she said, and give you the opportunity to yell at me.
And I understand that it's a shit job where people are idiots, but man, if that's your default when you walk into some sort of confrontation, instead of "Excuse me, sir, I just need to see your ticket before you go sit down," or "Excuse me, sir, can you come over here and we'll talk, we'll walk you through the metal detector instead of the other fucking thing." Like, it's just so easy. And I know that I'm not perfect either, but I also don't lash out at people. I don't know. I'm just rambling at this point. It doesn't fucking matter. I said, I'm just going to stay home forever.
You know what one of my New Year's resolutions was this year? Was because there's just I've come to realize, probably not as much as you, and I think you have like there's something more going on, because I mean, how do I say this?
You're not going to, whatever you want to say right now, you're not going to offend me. I promise you.
When someone approaches you, you don't look like the nicest person to approach. But I always try to give off like I'm essentially the guy that says sorry when you clearly walked into me, and I'm trying to get better at not fucking saying sorry. I'm always just like, if someone bumps into me, I'm the one that says sorry. If somebody does like a weird like juke in front of me when I'm walking clearly straight, I say sorry. So I'm like, you know what? Fuck that. Because there's a lot of fucking assholes, and fuck this sorry shit, dude.
Okay. So I'm trying to be nicer. You're trying to be more of an asshole. Got it.
But you were in the wrong, man. You for sure were in the wrong.
I know that you're like, this is funny to you. I couldn't sleep that night because I was like,
I know.
I was analyzing this from every position. I'm just like, what could I have done differently? How did I fuck this up in the beginning? And I just like, I can't reconcile it. And it drove me fucking insane.
Was there a moment where you looked back at your new coworkers per se and saw at least like one guy or one girl like giving a look, just like, oh my god?
I couldn't even make eye contact. I had to like keep walking. Yeah. I walked down, and instead of sitting with some of the people that I knew from work, I sat down next to a couple of Mets fans because I was like,
anything's better than this shit.
It was literally at that point my entire night was going to be ruined. Nobody was going to want to talk to me in the first place. Like, even the only way that I could have walked out of that looking okay is if I had just been like a fucking bootlicker and just been like, "I'm so sorry."
Yeah.
And that's just not me. So I'm an asshole or whatever. Whatever.
Do you think all your coworkers saw it?
There's no way that at least didn't. Some of them didn't.
Yeah.
And I just, you know what? It is what it is, man.
It is what it is. That's a good way to look at it.
I don't know what else to say about it, but yeah, that's the long reason that I'm just going to stay home forever.
Shit happens.
Fan Expo was great, though.
Yeah, that was really fun.
Nobody was a dick there.
Drink a lot of beers. I didn't have one bad experience there. And
no, I think everybody was generally pleasant.
Yeah.
We met some cool people from a murder podcast.
Oh, yeah, that was interesting. I forgot the podcast, so I can't really shout it out. But
I know good. I'm very bad about that. But also, like you said, we had a lot of beers. Do we just want to go ahead and move on to our trailers, Mark?
Let's talk trailers. Yeah,
let's do it.
News to us. Boop.
So, apparently, people really like this Lord of Ring stuff.
I'm so blown. You've never seen Lord of the Rings.
Literally, at this point, it's just out of spite. And man, I'm really just starting this episode off with a fucking bang, aren't I?
Yeah. all. By the way, listeners, we had a couple new listeners. We saw some analytics after the show, and we're like, "Oh my god, that was great. We got some traction." Now those listeners are just gone.
Now they're just like, "Listen to this piece of shit." For the record, nobody hates me more than I hate me. So take solace in that. Anyways, do you have thoughts on this generally? This is season 1 of 5 planned, coming to Amazon Prime starting September 2nd. So I will completely defer to you.
I do, but I don't. I don't recognize any like younger. I don't know if this is a prequel. I don't know if it's a sequel. So I'm not going to pretend like I know what's happening, and I don't. All I know is it looks like there's some really cool effects. The last time I saw what was the last trilogy, the last of the trilogy of
Schmaug.
the movies, yeah, that was a long time
The
ago.
Hobbit, yeah.
I remember my cousin was a huge Lord of the Rings nerd, and I met him like halfway through because he went to that whole marathon. They used to do that in theaters, play all the first two and then up to the three. And so I was kind of involved in
Smells
that shit.
had to come out of that fucking theater.
Oh my
Ugh.
God, people just reeking of shit in tuna sandwiches.
Ugh.
But I really can't like I know the characters. I just don't know what happened in this trailer, but I'm still excited for it. It looks cool. I think it's all dependent on how they write the story. It's got to keep us interested, but that's yet to be seen.
You heard it here first. If the story is good, the show will be good.
Fuck you, dude.
I,
Fuck you.
I'm just fucking with you, man.
Dude, all I'm saying is it looks cool as shit. So if you're getting hyped up because of that, I think you need to just pull it back a little bit.
I
We don't
think
know
that
what's going to happen.
I might just like take a day off work and binge the entire series and still continue to tell people that I have never seen it just because it's so much fun to watch how angry real nerds get about this.
Cinematically, I think it is the closest and best thing to Dungeons and Dragons that we've ever had.
What about the 2001 version with Jeremy Irons?
Yeah, the actual Dungeons and Dragons movie.
Movie was incredible.
We have a new D&D movie coming out, and that's actually one
Chris
of the
Pine.
biggest panels that's going to be hitting San Diego Comic-Con.
Oh, you might as well tell everybody why you're not going to be here next week.
Hey, everyone, I'm going to San Diego Comic-Con. I won't be here next weekend. I'm a complete idiot, though, because
I know.
I'm going to meet I'm going to meet some people there, and they've been there plenty of times. And I'm just like, they're like, what time are you getting in? I'm like, well, first thing Thursday, but I think I'm going to check out this panel in Hall H. And they're like, not to burst your bubble, but you need to be in line 2 days prior to even get into that panel. And it was the panel for the D&D movie that's coming out.
That sounds so terrible, though.
You know, it's not terrible, though. They're doing a pop-up tavern outside of the convention center. So it's like maybe a block or so away. It's from what I've seen, the convention center isn't just like, it's not just what happens in the center. They build shit around like in the streets and stuff. So they're doing this pop-up tavern, which should be cool. I would hope I can get into that, but we'll see.
We will see. You already told the story on the show about how you won the tickets, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then we won't bore everybody, but Jesus Christ, you're such a doofus. I still can't believe that you're doing that and New York Comic Con. I'm just going to let you record an episode there, and I'll just fuck off next week. Nothing exciting is happening in my life.
Yeah. Dude, just go. Just fly out there.
Oh, yeah, sure. I'll just drop everything and fucking piece of shit. All right. Speaking of things that are completely superfluous, Mark, who asked for this reboot of The Munsters from Rob Zombie? Because it wasn't me, and I'm guessing it wasn't you.
Is it too similar to the actual original Munsters?
It seems like it's beat for
series?
beat.
Yeah. Is that why it's bothering you, though? But it's in color?
It's not even that. It's just like, what's the audience for this? It's just campy, unfunny jokes. And like, it's great that you have nostalgia for this, Rob Zombie, but maybe at some point someone should tell you no.
Yeah, I would think there's a tight niche for your audience here, because I'm thinking like my dad grew up on this show, like Andy Griffith, all those fucking old 50s shows
all those
or whatever.
Horrible shows. Everything that was made before
60s.
The 1980s is dog shit.
Fuck those shows. But still, it's like The Munsters was that show, I feel like, on TV at the time, where even if like you watch TV and there's very limited TV that was on, you still had to like be into it, you know? And I don't think there was, I would assume it wasn't like an Andy Griffith where everyone just watched it, got the family together and watched it on a Sunday or whenever the fuck they watch TV.
But the Munsters, like,
No, I agree.
so I remember it growing up. They used to show it on UPN or UPN Power 50, like in Chicago.
U.
Yeah,
Yeah.
WCIU, Channel 26, the U.
Now it's like Me TV or something.
I don't know what the fuck it is, but it's sometimes Svengoolie is there. That's all I know. But it would be, when I couldn't sleep at 3 a.m, it would be on fucking reruns forever, and it was just dumbass jokes.
Mm-hmm.
And Eddie Munster with his stupid widow's peak. But I really I don't understand how he thinks this is going to succeed. Like, I'm not going to watch this. Are you?
Nope. I don't plan on it.
Perfect. We should keep talking about it then.
I don't know. I don't know why. Hold on. Sorry. Last thing. Why are they doing it in color? If he wants to be so spot on to the actual like character design and the personalities and all that stuff of the original, then why wouldn't you just make it black and white? Go
You
all
want a
out.
wild ass guess? That was the one thing the studio was like,
Nah, we can't do
that.
that.
Like, this is the line that we draw in the sand. If you want to do this dumbass reboot, then fucking whatever, because you have a lot of fans that are dedicated. But that's where we draw the line. That's my guess. But
That would make sense.
yeah, so something we will actually watch, though, is the next season of Harley Quinn, the ultimate sleeper show, in my opinion. Where are you on this?
I'm caught up.
Okay, and so you see a little bit in this season of Gotham City basically all greened out.
I didn't see that coming. I didn't see Poison Ivy, and this sounds stupid to say, but I didn't think she was actually.
I didn't see that supervillain fucking take it over the city.
I mean, yes, but at the same time, she's very. She likes to. What's the word for it? She doesn't like conflict. It seems like, especially when it involves Harley Quinn. So it seems like there's a little bit of a strenuous relationship going on right now because they started getting together in season 2, and now it seems like she's getting a little carried away with turning Gotham into this green city, and you see Harley Quinn getting a little flustered in the trailer.
Which is what you want to see is Kaylee Cuoco just like screaming mad. But I want to digress just for a second because Darian is in the chat and he's asking if Rob Zombie has ever made anything good. It sounds as though Darian has never seen House of a Thousand Corpses or The Devil's Rejects.
Did he do House of Wax too?
No.
Okay, never mind. I thought that was
a horrible. I remember loving it at the time and seeing it.
Yeah.
I think it came out when I was in college, but Paris Hilton was in that movie, right?
Yep.
Yeah, just absolute dog shit. But I remember like being in the theater thinking like, all right, this is kind of cool. Like, even though it's a dumbass movie.
So stupid.
But yeah, Rob Zombie has absolutely made good movies. It's just, like I said, somebody needs to start telling him no.
Mm-hmm. I just remember in House of Wax. Sorry to go down this.
No,
route.
let's go. Next we're going to talk about Splice.
So if I recall correctly, the whole House of Wax thing was like somebody was actually taking dead bodies that they killed and preserving them in wax, right? Wasn't there a scene where the guy was still alive, but he was like waxed up and he was just
they
like,
turn the heat up and like it starts melting off his face and he's like slowly moving. That's how I remember it. But also it's been 20 years. So I don't know. Yeah. So anyways, definitely watch House of a Thousand Corpses. Maybe with the lights on. I don't know. Maybe you're into that shit. Mm-hmm. You're kind of weird, right, Darren? You want to take your shirt off in public all the time. Mark, on to another really important question. Well, anything else you want to say about Harley Quinn?
Yeah. Couple things I noticed. I want to just point out that we have Barbara Gordon, we have Batgirl in this, and it looks like Brianna Cuoco is playing Batgirl, and that I would assume is Kaylee Cuoco's sister, which is kind of surprising. I didn't even know she had a sister, so that's one thing to note. And we have Nightwing. Looks like we have Red Robin or some sort of Robin in there. But yeah, they're introducing some new characters, so I am very excited for this new season. We should be seeing some new things.
So it looks as though Brianna Cuoco is also in The Flight Attendant with Kaylee Cuoco.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm guessing they're related.
They have to be, dude. There's no way they're not.
Okay. Brianna was born November 20th, 1988, one day before her sister Kaylee Cuoco's third birthday. Okay. Got it. So she's the younger sister. Sure. Maybe stop getting work done. Anyways, um, yeah, so I will watch this because it's a really funny show and it's well done and well made and mostly just well written. And I love that they work in some of my favorite voice actors / comedians like Ron Funches. I will listen to Ron Funches talk forever because he's just got a goofy ass voice and he's generally hilarious. But yeah. Anyways, let's move on. Mark, very important question. Do vampires have holes in their fangs to suck blood through or not?
They do not. You have been misled all of your life.
I asked, so I did the Second Star to the Right show last night. I produced that show for them, and in the pre-production, I asked probably the most qualified group of nerds that I could think of. You know, if you're thinking, vampires are pretty prevalent in D&D lore, if you will, and the immediate reaction from Andrew at Roll for Persuasion was, well, there are two schools of thought. And I was like, oh boy, let's fucking buckle up and do this.
No. Two schools of thought. Oh, God.
Right.
When is the last time you've heard somebody open up?
I literally had to stop and I was like,
about that.
fuck, I'm so excited to see what you're about to say right now. But yes, basically, it depends on the universe that you're talking about. So generally, I think that okay, the way, and I think that I'm describing this correctly, is that some think that there's like a venom, quote unquote, that shoots out of the fangs to make it like to numb the person who's being bitten, so they don't know, so they don't like wake up from sleeping or whatever. Anyways, this is a dumbass argument. This is a whole fucking thing that was supposed to be a setup for this Jamie Foxx and Snoop Dogg movie coming to Netflix.
It's hilarious because we do a podcast about pop culture and the majority of what we talk about is all fantasy and things that don't actually exist and aren't real. And I'm looking at Quora right now, like Reddit, and some guy was like, are vampires' teeth like straws? Are they just for piercing it a hole to suck from? And some guy was just like, straws. I haven't seen media portray them that way. It's a fantasy monster, though, so it's possible. Dude, you're fucking right. It is a fantasy monster. Anything's fucking possible.
It's whatever you want it to be.
It may be. Exactly.
That's the entire point of this.
We're always overthinking.
Yeah, maybe unicorns actually have two horns.
No fucking way.
Did you see anything about Terrence Howard this week? It's kind of been brought to light. He's a notorious piece of shit. So if you don't remember Terrence Howard, he was the original roadie from the first Iron Man before they replaced him with Don Cheadle. He was also in Hustle and Flow. I think he won an Oscar for that role, if I'm remembering correctly.
Okay, Hustle and Flow guy, the guy with the fucking fedora type
Terrence Howard
thing. You're just like, dude, stop. You're bald. I know. Take it off.
So there's a video of him out there now trying to defraud people in like Kenya and in other regions of Africa with his ridiculous theories on math. And he wrote a book about how he believes that 1 × 1 = 2. Okay. And I don't remember how I got here, but I felt like I had to bring that up for a second.
Was he just like, actually, if you take the multiplication symbol and you just tilt it a fucking little bit, you tilt it like 30 degrees or whatever,
then all of a sudden
get a plus.
It's a plus.
And
then that keeps the vampires away and they suck blood through their teeth. Anyways, Day Shift. I'm excited for this. Are you?
Yes, with Jamie Foxx. Okay, I am, and I'm actually excited that the better Franco's in this one. I haven't seen Dave Franco in something in a while, I feel like, and I do enjoy his work.
You remember we watched that dumb horror movie that was like an Airbnb?
The Cliff. The
Yeah.
Cliff movie or whatever. Yeah,
Is that what
that
it's
was
called?
really bad.
It doesn't matter. That's the last
They
thing
all
I
took
remember seeing, man.
they all took shrooms and like threw their friend off a cliff by accident or something.
Never mind. I'll talk about that when we do recommendations.
All
Uh,
right, cool.
yeah. So Snoop Dogg is also in this, and this is coming to Netflix on August 12th. I just want this to be as violent as humanly possible.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Jamie Foxx, like he had that kind of superhero-ish movie where you take a pill and you have powers.
Oh yeah.
It was kind of lackluster. That's got me a little hesitant about the outcome on this, but I'm still gonna watch it. So I don't
A
really
lot
know
of
what
his
I'm
action,
saying.
a lot of his action roles are hit or miss. I feel like for the most part. I mainly think about Sleepless, which was one of my least favorite movies of that year that we watched.
That was one of our first movies that we reviewed together. It was like
Was it?
that and Manchester by the Sea.
That was a bad movie. I hated that movie.
Sleepless?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, he's so endlessly talented that I don't really give a shit. Like I will still watch. I will give his movies a chance no matter what. I guess is what I'm saying.
I don't know. Looking at the trailer, I don't know if I fully understand what is happening with these vampire zombie creatures because there's a scene where the lady seems perfectly fine. Like, is that a normal thing, or is that just the fantasy part of it where anything could happen?
Well,
Because
Mark,
it looks like she's just an old lady, and then he shoots her, and she's all of a sudden a fucking vampire zombie.
as we have decided, based on our previous conversation, it could be whatever the fuck you want it to be.
That's very true. But does that mean maybe she had like the virus in her and she had to be killed to stop spreading it, but she automatically just turns into the zombie? I don't know.
Is it
Anything
a
could
virus or
happen.
is it a curse?
Could be a
Who knows,
No,
Mark?
that's
Who
fucking
knows?
terrible. Let's go. Let's keep going.
All right, last trailer. Do you have any urge to talk about this Spy Kids ripoff with Owen Wilson?
Just a few things. I wanted to notate the cast because we have and I just lost it. But that one kid that was from that recent Ryan Reynolds movie.
The Adam Project.
Yes. We also have the kid that was from that Superbad type movie that featured, it was
Good
like South
Boys.
Park Superbad. Good Boys. Yes, he's in that. So the cast looks decent. We have Owen Wilson. Is he actually going to say wow in this movie? I don't know. I think that's going to make or break this.
It's not really going to sell me on it. This looks like it's not for us, right?
I'm more interested in this than you compared it to Spy Kids. I don't necessarily see it. I think
You think it's more adult than that?
I don't know if I'd say adult, but I don't think necessarily an adult wouldn't it might be geared more towards adults than we think. That's what I'm saying.
If that is the case, then maybe I'll give it a shot, but probably not.
Yeah. Doesn't
All
look
right.
that great though.
Moving on. Mark, I didn't put this in the notes, but I thought maybe you would find it interesting. Did you see that Netflix is partnering with Microsoft in order to offer their ad-supported tier that will be supposedly a little bit cheaper?
Okay. So they're mainly trying to resolve the loss of subscribers that were due to price. I would
Or
assume,
just to
right?
lure new subscribers that maybe thought it was out of their price range.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're looking to add new subscribers at a different tier, which has people up in arms, although you don't have to have that. And I don't know. I get it's a shitty subscription model to have always build yourself as the zero ad space, and then all of a sudden you're going back on that. But everybody else does it too. Hulu's got it. Peacock has it. I mean, everything is that way now. It just is what it is. Fucking BMW is going to charge you a monthly fee for heated seats. Okay, just get used to this fucking hellscape that we have created.
That's a real thing.
Yeah,
What?
$18 a month.
They charge you monthly for that feature?
They are rolling that out in the UK this upcoming year. Yes.
Why heated seats? That's been around for a long time.
Are you really asking me why they're charging
they
more
can.
money for something?
Because they can. Okay. Back to Netflix. I think this is the only reason that this will matter is dependent on how they actually price this thing out, obviously, which is the reason they're teaming up with Microsoft. But what I mean by when I say that is if they're going to increase, let's say you pay, I don't even know what I'm paying today because shout out to mother-in-law. She gives me her Netflix account.
Nice.
Let's say you pay $15 a month. If they're going to say like, okay, now we have this ad rollout, you're getting it's $15 a month for you. But now because we're rolling out these ads, which will now be $10 a month, we're actually going to increase you to $17 a month. Like if they increase the people that are already getting no ads at $15
and try to keep you, but lessen the blow. Yeah, that would be bullshit.
They're making it like,
I mean, it's all bullshit.
Hey, there's people out there that are getting ads and you're not getting ads. So just pay an extra couple bucks. If they try to pull that shit, fuck off.
It's all bullshit, dude. The fact that just like corporate profits have to continue to go up every quarter is just like the downfall of society. We're all so boned.
Yeah, this isn't surprising though, and I would assume they're going to do something like that because they took a fucking bath this past quarter, 2 quarters.
There's so much into this that I just we don't want to get into the bullshit, but
they were overvalued too. It's just
they always have been.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's do a little bit of news here. The Verge is reporting that Netflix, it's on the brain. Nintendo has acquired a CG production company. Are you familiar with Dynamo Pictures, Mark?
I'm not, but I looked into it a little bit.
Yeah, so they do mostly video game stuff, and they are most well known for Persona 5, I think, is what I'm most familiar with. The other things I don't think I recognized, but they were mostly a video game animation studio, and now Nintendo will be buying them, rebranding it as Nintendo Studios. Nintendo Pictures, quote unquote. But what do you want to see them do?
Better graphics, I guess, for the Switch. Isn't that what most people would want? Because what is the majority? What other Nintendo titles are you playing that's not on the Switch?
I don't think this is even a game thing. I think this is just like they're going to start making movies.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a movie studio.
But they're acquiring a studio that's mainly done animation for video games, it sounds like, though.
It says they're renaming it to Nintendo Pictures, which does not sound like gaming.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, Dynamo is Dynamo Pictures, aren't they? And they do mostly gaming, which is
that's a valid point, Mark. Maybe we should have done more research before we decided to talk about this on the show.
I will mention they did Earwig and the Witch, which was that Studio Ghibli movie. So they animated that. They also did Death Stranding, which was the one title I actually recognized.
Daryl?
Yes, Daryl.
From The Walking Dead.
Spacesuit. Yep.
Yeah, not interested. I mean, it looks, everything that you just mentioned, like, looks good.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's what matters, because Nintendo would be providing the actual content.
Yeah. They should just give us like a weird fucking Beowulf movie, or redo the Polar Express or something where it's like that Uncanny Valley type shit.
I did not get that Beowulf. Everybody was so obsessed with that when it came out because it was like one of the first actual Blu-ray movies that you could get.
Yeah.
It was such a shit movie. It was fucking terrible. Angelina Jolie was terrible in it. Ugh.
Mm-hmm.
Just a bad fucking movie. Anyways, last bit of news. According to Variety,
hold on. I just thought of something. Do you think there's any reason? Do you think one of the reasons they're doing this is because possibly that Super Mario Brothers movie that's going to be coming out? Do you think they need animators?
That couldn't be this studio though. Like that was already in production prior to this happening. So I mean, maybe it's an answer to that. Like, fuck that. We're not going to sign out our IP anymore. But
yeah,
still, it kind of seems like. I mean, I don't know what kind of contract they have outside of that, but yeah, Chris Pratt Mario is not something I'm super pumped for.
Right? Yeah.
Well, anyways, last bit of news, Mark. According to Variety, the next season of Black Mirror is believed to already be in production. And currently some of the actors who have been listed on the call sheet are Zazie Beetz, who I personally love. She's very easy to look at. Josh Hartnett, who will be an actual returning character, well, I don't know if it's the same character. He'll be a returning actor. I don't know if you remember, he was actually in season 1, which is weird because I don't remember seeing Josh Hartnett for a very long time. What was the last thing he was in? Like the second Sin City or something like that?
I don't know. Kelly fucking loves Pearl Harbor. Kelly loves 2 movies that you just hate with all of your heart. Pearl Harbor and Titanic.
I've never seen Titanic.
Really? Okay.
Pearl Harbor, I have a deep emotional distress for because it was also one of my ex-girlfriend's favorite movies, and I just absolutely loathed it. It was, it's such a bad movie.
I think it's because of the heartthrob thing. Some good-looking dudes in it. That's about it, though.
It was billed as a war movie, and it's just about. It's just story. Like loves. Yeah. It's like it's a rom-com without the com.
Yeah, that's why you wouldn't like. That's why you wouldn't like Titanic, because you'd be like, "Oh, this is a fucking love story." Like, dude, show me more people jumping overboard.
Yeah, but I'm Titanic wasn't like in wartime. You know, it's something about that just doesn't sit right with me. And also, Cuba Gooding Jr. It doesn't matter.
You're just so negative today, dude.
I'm trying not to be.
You're still reeling on what happened.
Dude, you're making me so super self-conscious right now. I do not appreciate this. You piece of shit.
Going.
All right, moving on.
Here's some money. Go see a Star War.
I'm just gonna like collect myself. Can you tell me what your recommendation for this week would be?
If you're gonna be at San Diego, no, I'm just kidding.
Fuck you.
Oh man, I already mentioned that last. Okay, I'm not gonna talk about that.
Shut up. I'll do a few.
Dude, The
Bill
Boys
Burr
was
has
fucking
a new
amazing.
stand-up
That's all I'm
special
gonna say.
on Netflix, live at Red Rocks, and Bill Burr is probably one of my favorite comedians. Him and Tom Segura, I think, are probably one of my 2 favorite comedians right now. Bill Burr is just the things he's not all of them. He speaks to me personally because he's like
Angry.
Yeah.
But you're super woke and you get offended by everything. Like that guy that asked you for your ticket when you went to the bleachers.
That's
so
woke. I was woke.
I'm kind of surprised you're super woke and shit like that.
Stay woke. They're trying to get our tickets.
You're so woke, dude.
Yeah, that's super fucking woke. Anyways, yeah, Bill Burr, that special's on Netflix. He's one of the funniest people on the planet. But do you have something now? Are you done stumbling over your words?
Man, I've just been catching up on The Boys, which we'll get to. But that fucking season was amazing. I finished the show that I mentioned during our live recording. Dope Sick was fine. That had Michael Keaton in it. I'm going to start The Bear, which everyone is talking about. It has the guy from Shameless, right?
So that was going to be my main recommendation for this. That's Jeremy Allen White, who I believe is actually from Chicago. You would recognize him as Lip from Shameless. Mm-hmm. But he plays Carmi, the main character in this show. He's a world-renowned chef who comes home after his brother commits suicide. His brother owned a shitty Italian beef spot in Chicago, Original Beef Chicago, kind of like the River North, Old Town area. But he comes back home to run the restaurant after his brother leaves it to him. And it's just the story of him trying to get everything from not being super chaotic. I really enjoyed the way that they shot everything. It's not food specific, but it's close enough that it's like adjacent. Like they talk technically about food sometimes, and they talk about the prep for food, and there are really tight shots on certain dishes and the way that things are made. And they also do those really tight shots on people during emotional scenes or intense scenes. So it's very visceral in that way. But it's shot really well. It's also just been renewed for a second season, which is very exciting. This was originally on FX and also simultaneously streaming on Hulu. Very excited to see more of it.
Is he a line chef? Is that what he is, or a head chef? Or
no, Jeremy Allen White is like he was like he won like a Michelin star at a restaurant in New York. Like he's a deal. Yes, he's a professional chef. Yeah, They go into detail about it in the show. None of that really means anything to me. I think Michelin stars are fucking stupid. But I will tell you that this show made me want to go get an Italian beef, and then I went and got one, and I was super disappointed because it just wasn't as good as I had.
Where'd you get it from?
Al's Beef. But I didn't go to the
wow.
original. I used to go to the original on Taylor Street, which is, I mean, unless something has changed, the best. But yeah, I went to the Al's Beef in River North, and it just wasn't. I don't know. The bread was like rubbery. It just wasn't up to snuff.
Did you dip it in cheese, you fatty?
No, you just put a little bit of provolone on it.
Did you put jardinera on it?
Yeah.
Good.
And you dip it.
All right. Thank God.
Don't you fucking question my Chicago credentials, you piece of shit.
As a bunch of Chicago guys, did you recognize any of the neighborhoods that this guy was walking around in, or where some of the restaurants were?
Yeah.
Like, do you know where this was shot?
Yeah, it's not really sprawling around the city, if I'm being honest. Like, it's mostly self-contained in the restaurant. Like, they mention a couple suburbs like Wilmette and other places, but for the most part, it just takes place in the restaurant or like at home.
Do you know where the main restaurant is, though?
It's somewhere between like River North and Old Town, based on what I could put together.
Okay, it's not like West Loop, Randolph, where Restaurant Row is, or anything.
It might be. I don't fucking know.
Okay, I'm gonna check it out.
I wasn't
pumped.
super paying attention on that, but it doesn't really matter. Like, you just see L tracks and stuff.
Yeah,
like, it's Chicago.
Gotcha.
It's weird going downtown now. Do you still go downtown at all? Like, for work?
I've gone to the office twice now since COVID. I actually went last week, and I think it's dependent on the days you go, because I've gone to Thursday and nobody was fucking there. I think people that work at companies that actually say like, hey, you should try to come into the office, typically those employees go into the office maybe like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because I did go Wednesday and it was a lot more livelier in River North area. But
Weird.
yeah, it's still pretty much a ghost town for the most part.
Yeah, and a lot of places are just kind of closed now.
Oh, dude, everything, like even Starbucks closed down in River North. Like the last thing you would think would close.
I was in Lincoln Park, and I mean, I remember when they fully renovated and put in a Whole Foods on the Red Line stop at Fullerton. It's already closed. That was like 5 years ago.
I fucking hate Whole Foods though. Those
Okay, that sounds like a story.
It's just overpriced bullshit. Hey, take
everything
this
is
scooper.
overpriced bullshit.
Hey, we're not selling boxed rice here. We're gonna put all of our fucking rice in different canisters, and you scoop that shit yourself and put it in a bag like a fucking goldfish and pay for it. Triple the price, you piece of shit. That's
Sounds like
Whole Foods in a nutshell.
You really have some fucking vindictive thoughts about Whole Foods.
I think it's the worst grocery store of all time. All time. If you want like healthy organic shit, nice people to greet you, and when you check out, go to fucking Trader Joe's. Greatest grocery store of all time.
Trader Joe's is a cult.
I fucking love Trader Joe's. When I want to get in and out and actually be happy, when I want to be happy with my fucking big ass ice cream sandwiches that are heavenly,
The double cookies.
I go to, dude. Oh
I got some out in the freezer right now. Look, I'm not shitting on Trader Joe's, but I still feel as though people who go to Trader Joe's are in a cult.
Everyone's so nice there. I don't care if they're in a cult. Keep culting. I don't give a fuck.
Wow. All right.
Cult your dick off. Do it.
I don't know how to react to that. Let's keep going. Anything else that you've been watching, doing? I wanted to mention a couple things. The new Resident Evil show came onto Netflix, and I have not started watching it yet.
Great reviews.
A few memes of some really awkward scenes, which I am excited to run into.
Isn't it the highest rated Resident Evil form of TV or movies in quite some time?
I don't know the answer to that, but I still don't feel as though if that were true, that it would be much of an accomplishment.
Yeah, right. Because everything else, it was like.
And I'm not saying that I don't like them, but critically, I feel like they don't speak to many people in that forum.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Okay, great.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, no, it does.
Yeah, I'll give that a shot. And also, I started watching some dumb cartoon on Netflix, and I can't remember the name. It was like Falzar.
I do think I know what you're talking about. You're close.
Farzar.
Mm-hmm.
I watched one episode of it. It's got potential. It's kind of like, I compare it to Solar Opposites, which is just like Rick and Morty, but a little bit dirtier and almost worse for it. You really have to toe a line in terms of the crudeness that you can try to make jokes about, right? And so if you cross that line, it just gets cringy instead of being funny. So sometimes this goes over that a little bit, which I would also say about Solar Opposites, which I've also been watching a little bit of. But yeah, that's kind of what I have a weird relationship with those shows.
Did what's his name, McFarlane? Did he do Solar Opposites, or was that just Conan O'Brien?
Solar Opposites is Justin Roiland from Rick and Morty.
Oh, I'm thinking of Final Space or whatever.
Yes, you're thinking of Final Space, which is Conan O'Brien's produced show, which I also loved, but I'm pretty sure got canceled.
Yeah.
But anyways, Mark, let's just move on to our review, shall we?
Let's go.
We gotta wait for the fart. Oh, that's better. All right, Mark, you took season 3 of The Boys to the face in the last few days.
Mm-hmm.
How did it make you feel? Was it sad?
Best season yet.
I also agree with that. I think that it goes 3-1-2 for me.
Man, I'm tired, to be honest, and I don't think we need to like go into everything that happened. I think what you need to know as a listener, if you're not caught up on The Boys or you were not interested in The Boys to begin with, is you need to fucking watch the show, because I think it is one of the best shows on television in the last few years. Every single season is fucking good. Season 1, season 2, but this season, holy shit. And it's stuck to a lot of the source material, which doesn't matter. Like, you don't need to know anything about the comic books, but there are certain scenes that they ripped right from the comics. And I told my wife that when she saw a certain scene in particular, which I'm sure you're familiar with, and she's like, what the fuck is this? I'm like, this is a comic book. She's like, this was in a comic. I'm like, actually, yeah, they made a whole issue.
That's what people don't understand about comics. They just think like Superman and like, they don't realize that Images out here. Like, what's the first page of Saga?
It's her giving birth and like screaming, fucking kill me or some shit like that. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure the C word is on that front page.
Yes.
But yeah.
Yep. You're right.
But yeah, like comics. My favorite example is the original Eastman and Laird Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which was super fucking violent. Yeah. Like, go back and read those comics from the 80s. Like, those ain't your mama's turtles. Yeah, comics get really fucked up, as Elise says in the chat. Welcome, Elise, who also came out to Fan Expo last year. But, Mark, we should focus a little bit on The Boys. I'm surprised at how well it was reviewed critically. 97% on Rotten Tomatoes, 86% from fans. I don't have any dispute with any of that. And I'm most impressed with, in this show, the ability to continue this story, which is so over the top, stupid, and ridiculous, and somehow still continue to raise the stakes and make it matter more. So I think we can talk about this season without going into specific spoilers, but we can assume that maybe people have watched the first 2 seasons. So, like, you know that Homelander's a sociopath, but he's also the most powerful sociopath on the planet, which is kind of a problem. So we're at this situation now where he's pushing his boundaries to see how far he can go, and realizing maybe that people were more accepting than he thought they would be, which is horrifying, and also completely allegorical to everything that's happening today. My favorite thing is people realizing like what this show is actually about. But yeah, I can't say enough about how well Eric Kripke does producing and writing these storylines and everything like that. It's brilliantly done.
At times I thought they were like trying to reference actual political things that are happening in the world today, but I just can't quite put my nose on it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's it's probably those damn libs. What did you think about Jensen Ackles as Soldier Boy?
he has one of the greatest voices of all time, dude. I I I don't know if he's been in doing like animation or voice acting and other shit, but holy shit, he's got the perfect voice for just like a
Just
mean
a
ass
grizzled,
villain dude.
yeah.
Yes. He's got a good voice for fucking whatever, dude. You could put him in anything.
Him and Joel
Cowboy,
Kinnaman.
astronaut, whatever.
All you have to do is sound like you smoke 100 cigarettes a day.
Mm-hmm.
And it just makes you sound cool as fuck and just like hard. I don't know how else to describe it. Maybe that's why we love these actors who maybe aren't that great.
Yeah, but he was the piece that raised the stakes in this season for sure.
Right.
And I just thought he was like fascinating. His character, like I wanted to know more about him, like his background and how fucked up he was as a human. But at the same time, they're like trying to leverage him to get what they want, which is, you know, take down Homelander, which you should know by season 1 and 2. But what I thought they do exceptionally well in this series, because it wasn't just a season, it's the jumping around. And I don't even like to call it that, but it's like you have 4 or 5
You're
different
balancing
things that are happening.
storylines.
They balance everything so fucking well in this series. So I have to tip my hat to that.
I find myself at times wondering like, oh shit, remember what's going on at that point? And I remember at one point I'm thinking like, wow, Frenchie has been running for like 6 minutes straight because they cut away. But yeah, speaking of Frenchie, who's your favorite character in the show?
Fuck, that's a tough one, dude.
It's not. The answer is Frenchie.
I like Frenchie a lot.
Frenchie
I do
fucking
like,
rules.
Why am Kimiko? Is that how
Kimiko
you
is
say her name?
also
Kimiko?
really good.
Yeah.
So there was a lot going on. I'm on the internet too much, so I'll just go ahead and discuss this as though we'll pretend that everybody else is on the internet as much as I am. But the conversation on the internet, on forums and such, was like demonizing Jack Quaid's character, Huey, for wanting to take like the temporary V, and also Kimiko, who wants to go back and get her powers back, like demonizing one of them while canonizing the other. Like what's the difference? So I found that to be an interesting discussion online, and I don't know that there's necessarily a good answer one way or the other as to who's defending whom. I thought that Huey has some really interesting demons to wrestle, and I won't spoil the conversation that he ends up having at one point when he looks back on his upbringing and maybe realizes some things, but I thought that was really powerful and well done. And it's also, it shows deep character development for somebody who maybe you didn't think had capacity for that.
Yeah, and I think Huey in the first 2 seasons, everyone was just thinking like, oh my god, this
bitch.
wiener.
Yeah,
pretty much. And you see him in the season, you know, kind of want to progress into somebody that actually matters and can impact a situation.
He's tired of feeling like a bitch.
I think the difference though is because, well, first of all, Kimiko was doing this for Frenchie, but you can say the same thing about Huey. But I think it was also a little bit more selfish from Huey's standpoint, because he just wanted to feel like he made that impact, or was, you know, that critical character in
I'm with you.
certain things that were going on. So yeah, I don't think people were down for what Huey was doing as opposed to what Kimiko was trying to do.
That's fair. Do you feel like there was a storyline in here that maybe just could have been cut out entirely? Because for me, the whole Little Nina thing didn't give a shit.
Yep, I agree on that one.
Which sucks, and I know is contradictory to what I just said with Frenchie being my favorite character on the show. I feel like he's like the most chaotic good of all of them. Like, he is just a full psychopath, but I feel as though his intentions are the best. But also maybe he does meth sometimes, which, you know, nobody's perfect.
I feel like the deep storyline, I get why they had to do what they did. like with his
You
girlfriend
get
or whatever,
okay.
redeeming him, bringing him back, because otherwise, like, how are you going to redeem his actions? You can't.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I didn't enjoy like the scenes he was in because he's such a little bitch when Homelander's around, and he's
Wouldn't you
just
be
such
too
a
though?
weirdo. Yeah, I would, but
If like I could just lazy your fucking face off.
yeah, he's his storyline. I was just like, okay, but when he was doing his scenes, which were usually fucked up, revolved around sea creatures, I was like, dude, you're such a weirdo.
I guess we should probably talk about the Hero-gasm episode.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Sure.
if you're unfamiliar with this show, there are a lot of wieners and everything else in between, basically head and shoulders. But there's also a gigantic orgy. And it's apparently something that's been ongoing for a very long time and organized by very gross people. But there's an entire episode that surrounds it, which I found to be hilarious. And also the recurring joke that Frenchie is so pissed that he could not have been there to see it himself, even though it's like the stuff of legend that has been just, passed down from generation to generation. Oh, you know who else I really liked is Paul Reiser as the fucking weirdo, like old handler of the
Yeah.
Seven. I thought he's a very good, what do you call that character? He's just a shitbag.
Yeah, pretty much. What do you think about Giancarlo Esposito in this season?
I mean, they're all just kind of like, he really took a backseat, to be perfectly honest. But
They
they're
were
all
like,
kind of
okay,
just like
you're done.
fixers for everything.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like the people running this, like the marionettes that fix our government the way it is now. God, I'm so angry all the time. Anyways, anything you didn't like about this season?
Dude, honestly, I love the ending. I liked how they cliffhanger this one, which was that they don't do anything you're really not expecting. Like there's some things where I'm just like, oh, I kind of saw that coming, but I still think they do it in a way where it's very satisfying and keeps you intrigued in the series.
I don't know that it's entirely predictable. There were definitely some twists at the end of this that I'm curious to see how they will handle, because it seems like a couple of our characters might be in rough shape. So we'll kind of see where that goes. But I truly don't know how long you can continue to make this show. Like, eventually it will come to a head, and it will be the Fast and Furious thing where, like, well, I guess we're going to space. Otherwise, we can't raise the stakes anymore.
I think they're going to do 5 seasons of this, and I'm not familiar with how long the comics went on for. I know Hero-gasm was an actual issue, so they're not done yet, I would assume. But yeah, this is like a show where you could just get some fucking hilarious guys in the writer room and be like, "Hey, we need a new superhero that does some weird shit. What can you think of right now?" Like,
which they do a very good job of.
Yeah.
I will also, we would be remiss not to recommend the fact that they find the most brutal way to kill people.
Oh, and this
constantly.
For listeners, again, if you're curious and thinking about watching the show and you don't do well with gore, just know, like, this isn't one of those things where they do a quick shot of a guy's head bashed in and then pan away. They leave it there in the shot. Like, it's there.
I think that's honestly why my wife stopped watching this show after season 1. She was like, I really like it. The story's good, but I just can't. I can't keep going with this.
Yeah.
Does Kelly?
No, it doesn't fare well for
a nurse,
a bad stomach. Yeah.
Well, I think this show is incredible. I really liked what they did with Black Noir and some of the flashbacks to, like, the I guess that was the Contra, arming rebels and shit in South America and shit like that. I'm a big fan of historical fiction, which always lends itself well to, like, a superhero genre. The entire idea of Soldier Boy just being essentially a generation's prior Homelander. Like, he's just an untouchable shitbag who isn't the hero that everybody thinks that he is, but just benefits from all of that regardless.
Mm-hmm.
So I really thought that, excuse me, I do think that this is truly the best season of this show. And that's really saying something considering that it's always been good.
Mm-hmm. True.
Great.
See it.
Yeah, absolutely see it. I think we're both on the same page there. So let's talk about next week, Mark. Episode 302. Sorry, you won't be here, so I will talk about this openly.
Brick probably won't be here either, so I don't know what you're going to do.
I'll just do it myself. It's fine. But what is coming out is Nope from Jordan Peele and also The Gray Man on Netflix. So I think maybe I'll do The Gray Man next week and give people a little bit more time to see Nope.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm very excited to see both of those movies, frankly, even though the reviews for The Gray Man aren't necessarily great that are coming out so far. I think the embargo was just lifted, but I'm not looking for a masterpiece out of that movie. I just want to shut my brain off and watch people try to kill each other.
Mm-hmm. Watch it.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll get back to the hotel room one night and just be like, you know what, I'll turn it on.
No, you're gonna pass out. You're gonna
up.
be fucking hammered off
I'm
$20 Michelob
Maybe
Ultras.
Smashed, dude. Smashed.
Dude, who? All you bros you're gonna meet out there, like, who are you gonna hang out with? Is it like
Just all the
Comics for Life 42069 on Instagram?
It's just gonna be me and Kevin Smith the whole weekend. Just bros.
Just
I don't
throwing out.
honestly. I don't even know like what the big feature of the con is going to be. I know they're doing the D&D movie, but usually it's like a Marvel movie's coming out or The Rock's there for a DC movie or something. I don't even know like what the big movie is because Marvel
everybody-
Studios.
Yeah, like Marvel does their own now. Like D23 is their thing, and DC does their own big announcement shit. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. That doesn't mean you can't find something original and cool. I think that's your better option there. Don't sit in the fucking Hall H waiting line for 2 days. That's dumb.
No, there's what I'm very excited for is all the statue companies are going to be there, which typically isn't the case for the cons we go to.
Nerd,
dude, I'm such a nerd. But I'm going to be walking the floor. I'm leaving my suitcase at least half empty for all the shit I'm going to be buying. I know there's.
Are you
so
actually going
to
spend like $2,000 on a fucking statue while you're there?
No, nope, no way. It's pointless. Like, what would I do with it? Ship it back for double from the con?
You just said you were going to leave your suitcase half empty.
No, just with like other shit, shirts and posters or whatever the hell I want to buy. I don't know. Little statues, little guys.
Just little guys. All right, let's wrap this up. Mark, I love you. Thanks for coming, and thanks to everybody who tuned in. And this is episode 301, and next week we'll be back to talk about something.
Cool.
So until next time.
Jumps out, motherfuckers. Peace.